Hello, everybody. Nicholas T. Davis here. I'm here tonight with a writing course, and I'll give you the best of my knowledge. And let me first I'll tell you a little bit about myself. If you don't know me, I've been an author for about 7 years professionally, just writing books since then. And I live in East Syracuse. That's about all I'm going to say about myself. Get right to the class. The first thing I'd like to go over is tonight I'm just going to talk about what I'm going to be talking about in future classes. Just kind of give an outline of the whole program. All right. And one of the first thing I'm going to talk about is how do I write a book? If you're wondering how to write a book and you've never written before, and the first thing to do is just get some pen and paper and start writing. Write about anything you want. Usually with a book, it has a plot. It has a plot or a conflict, which in the book, which a struggle between the characters or between whatever force they're facing. And the second thing most books have is a climax and an end. A beginning, a climax, and an end. You start with a beginning, and then in the middle, you build it up as you go through the novel. You build it up, and then finally it comes to a conclusion, whatever the issue is or the problem is. And that's the second thing in that. And the next thing is the protagonist and antagonist, which is the hero and the villain in the book. Sometimes it's not people, sometimes it's nature, or it could be himself dealing with issues and things like that. And that's going to be the first class where I'm going to get more into depth with that stuff. And the second class I'm going to talk about is what should I write about? Well, you can write about things you know, write about what interests you. You can write about things you know, you can write about what interests you, and you can write about, I gotta go back to this sheet here. You can write about what, if your goal is to be making money, then you should write whatever market or genre is selling. If it's romance, then you should write romance. If it's science fiction, you write science fiction. If you're in it for the money, you have to go where the trends are, and you have to work with that. If your goal is just to write for enjoyment or to write your memoir, I just write to write. I get a kick out of it. It's my enjoyment. And if what I sell sells, then that's a good thing. But I have quite a few followers, but in the beginning, it was tough. You had to get out there and really push your books and stuff. I've sold up to 500 books, almost 500 books, and in my short career here, and I'm surprised I even got to that. Because it's tough out there. I'll tell you that, but it's worth it. When you see that book in print, it's worth it in the end. So if you're there to write for your own journal, your memoir, or your own enjoyment, that's okay too. Whatever your goal is, make it something that you really want to do. Okay, and every point when you do write a book, you got to do your research. You go through the internet, the library, books, or your own personal experience, but you have to do your research, because there are readers who'll go back and point out, where your little flaws were. I'm thinking James Bond, where he used a Beretta police special in the first book, and Ian Fleming got a letter from a reader which told him that that wouldn't kill somebody from that range. So you got to come up with something better. So he, rather than say he admitted a mistake, he worked it into the next book where he turned in his Beretta and he was given a Walther PPK, and that's how that became about. And and you can check, you can fact check that of me if you don't believe, but whatever. Okay, so that's that, and then the next one is how do you create interesting characters. That'll be our next class, and we'll talk about you know it's a good thing to keep it personal and write about people you know. It's but keep it, but make sure that you don't mention names. If you're gonna write about people you know, just use their characterizations. Don't use their actual names, unless it's okay with that, because otherwise you're gonna get sued for libel, and you don't want that. So the next thing is you combine. The best way to do it is combine characters from people you know, and maybe characters you've seen on TV or read about. You can kind of throw a little bit of everything in there to create your own characters. Create something unusual about your characters. Make them different from anything that you've ever seen anywhere else. Maybe something that no other superhero that you've seen has. And try to invent something like that. I know it's tough nowadays for that, because it seems like most of the originality is gone these days, because there's everything's been tried, but there's always a new thing under the sun if you can think of it. So there's that, and then we'll be talking about marketing, something I'm terrible at. But there's different ways of marketing. There's shows, there's ads on Amazon or Facebook, television, radio, although I don't know how well they go, because I've never tried radio, television, and they tend to be very expensive on radio and television. So, if you have the money to do that, that's a good route, but you got to have money for that one. Social media is a good one. You put it on Facebook, and you advertise your books on Facebook, and on Twitter. I think Twitter's a little better for that than Facebook, because Facebook tends to get crowded with the other crap, all the political crap and all that stuff. But the next thing I'll be talking about is copyrights and legal contracts. Something I learned back in paralegal. I'll give you a little advice about those things, but I can't really give advice. I just have to, because you have to be a lawyer to give advice. But what I'm saying is, I'll just go over a few things, basic things about copyrights and the laws and how they apply to copyright. And the next thing will be bookkeeping. We'll go into Excel, and I'll show you how I keep my books, and how you should keep your books. If you're going to keep it for tax purposes, you should keep all receipts and stuff like that. So that's that one. And then the next thing we'll be talking about is creating a website. You can do like a blog and a website together, or you can do a blog and a website. It's all up to you, but really this should be done before you even get your first book done. You need to have that in place before. So like you could do like a short page saying, this is what's coming out, something like that. But as long as you get it out there and your name out there before your book comes out, that's important. Okay, and then after that, I'll be talking about networking and competition. So I've networked with a group called the Wandering Wordsmiths. Give them a plug out there. And great bunch of people. We get together and we go to different shows. And sometimes it works out better that way for us, because we sell more books that way. But sometimes you do better on your own. It just depends on the show. But that's one thing about networking. And then competition, and how to handle people that are a little bit less than friendly or not very nice to you, how to deal with them. And then we'll be talking about some of the writing tools like Photoshop and Canva. And I'm not a big fan of Canva. I don't really have Canva. I usually go through Photoshop, and I use Word for my documents. And we'll get into that. There'll be more writing tools. Talk about Grammarly a little bit. And then I'm going to do a class on strictly writing fantasy. You know, a little bit about fantasy and how to write a fantasy novel and the elements that are important in a fantasy novel. And then we'll be talking about the other with science fiction, where we'll be talking about the same thing. We'll be talking about exploration and things like that. So I think that's about all I have for this show. I'll be getting more into that stuff later on. My website's up there. It's nicholasTdavisbooks.com. And if you go on YouTube, it's the same, Nicholas T. Davis Books, but with a capital N in the front. Just put that in YouTube, and my YouTube channel should come up. When this video is done, I'm going to put this one on YouTube as well, so it'll be there for you. And I will put up, I will post a picture of the lesson plan for tonight too after this. So, other than that, I just tell you a few things are going on. I'm going to be doing my last show this Saturday. There's a book signing at Fayetteville Library, but great bunch of authors will be there, and that'll be good. If you live in the area, you should go. I mean, it's not just me there. There'll be many other writers. We got a horror writer, children's book writer, mystery writer. We got all kinds of writers that are going to be there. So that'll be good. It's from 11 to 2 this Saturday at the Fayetteville Library. And I'll tell you, this year's been a good year. I've wrapped up a lot of, I've probably done better this year than any other year. And I've sold close to 100 books this year, which is really good for me. You know, I think the worst year I had, I only sold like 13 books. But then, you know, it just depends, you know, on the year and the shows you go to and how they go. And I find like every other year, people tend to buy. Sometimes the off year, they don't usually buy. They just kind of browse and look for that specific thing they want. So sometimes, you know, it goes kind of slow every other year, depending on the show. But I kind of selective these days on which Comic-Cons I do, and I'll get into more into that in marketing, because you can waste a lot of money on shows where you don't get much return, and that's one of the things you gotta fine tune, you know, and that's not something that you learn overnight. You have to work at it and fine tune it, and eventually you get to where you want to be, or at least in a range where you want to be. I hope to get my costs down next year, and we'll work on that when I get into this budgeting and the spreadsheets and all that stuff. I guess that's all I have for now. We will be doing, my wife and I will be playing keyboards and singing at Sunnyside Nursing Home this Friday. We're doing like a holiday show for them. And then we'll be doing that concert online probably around the 20th. I haven't set a date yet, but probably around the 20th. That weekend we will be doing a holiday show. Probably at 7 o'clock on Saturday, like we usually do. Hopefully this is still going. It didn't shut off on me. Let me check it here a little bit. All right. I know my old this is a new phone, because the old phone I had a problem of it shutting off on me. But this one I guess is okay, which is good. So but if you have any questions, you can go ahead and ask them on me. Let's see if we got any. No, I guess not. No comments. All right. When I'm showing these this class, if you have any questions, keep them till the end of the class, the last 5 minutes, and then we'll go over them, before I go. So until next time, we'll see ya, and I'll see you before Christmas, so I won't say it now. But I hope you have a good weekend this weekend, and I'll try myself. Okay, bye-bye for now.